And any idea about like server-side rendering, like how it performs, or some part of your project is using it?
Honestly, I know about what is the server side rendering and the client side rendering, which
Mm-hmm.
means or the compilation part is done at the server end itself. And I
Mm-hmm.
know there is a possibility, there is a configuration that has to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, client has to compile also JavaScript code. Okay,
Yeah.
and means client means browser itself.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, in the server side rendering, all the compilation is done at the server end, and the compiled version is sent through back to the browser, and
Mm-hmm.
browser need not to do any kind of compilation step, which means at the end of the time, compiler understand only the JavaScript, or you can say ES5 even, and then CSS and HTML. That's it. Okay, but it doesn't know about the React.js. It has to understand. So for that reason, either server has to compile, or your client has to be compiled. So if it is compiled in the server itself and sent back to the client, then it's the server side
Okay.
rendering. Else it's the client side rendering.
Got it. Okay. And what advantage do we get from SSR over client-side rendering?
Um, it's a pre-compiled server do if basically it's for the clients don't need to because it's a I believe it's depend upon the use cases.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the use cases where we have a limited server resource. Let's say we have only limited resource, then we want to delegate its compilation process to client itself. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but let's say we have a sufficient server resources and we have a high bandwidth, and we want a beautiful client experience so that the client don't delay even for a second. So we can give him a compiled version of that. So in
Okay.
that way, it's a kind of decision making what we want and what the resources we have.
Mm-hmm. Understood. Okay. Um,
Sure.
okay. So, do you know like how hosting work in JavaScript?
Sorry, sir.
The hosting of
Acha,
functions
hosting.
and variables.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got it, got it. Hosting means, suppose that you are writing a code, okay, and anywhere you have defined var a is equals to b, and again you going some down the line and go you var b is equals to 10, let's say. So hosting means there is a two kind of scope. One is the global scope, and second is the functional scope. If it is
Mm-hmm.
defined inside the function, it will be automatically declared at the first line of the function, or if you are writing inside a plain Java file, then it is automatically being declared when it's a internal compiled version at the top. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but with the initialization as a undefined. Once wherever you have initialized, the actual value will be initialized at that particular place only. So this concept is known as the hosting. Suppose that even suppose that line number 10, you have wrote a statement console.log.a, and line number 11 you are declaring var a is equals to 10, then the print statement would be the undefined. It's declared, but it's undefined. That's hosting is all about.
Okay. I quickly share my screen.
Uh-huh.
Replicate the same kind of a scenario what you are talking about. Is it visible?
Just give me a minute. I haven't seen it. Just give me a minute. I can see your screen, but in a very small section. Can you please make it a bigger
Yeah.
one?
Are you on your phone or you are on your
No,
laptop?
I'm using a laptop mic. So
Okay.
you have defined a is equals to 4, function abc console.log a, var a is equals to 7, console log a. So, hello.
Yeah.
Could you please share your screen again? Yeah, now I'm sharing. So it would be some kind undefined and then 7. That would be my error.
Okay. So here it would be 7 and here it would be undefined, you're saying?
Yes, yes.
Okay. But why do you think it would be undefined for line number 3? Because I'm already declaring it as line number 1 also, right? Like the value of p4 is there.
Uh,
So,
I believe it's a function due to functional scope. There by default there are the two scopes,
mhm.
functional and global scopes. So
Okay.
if you don't do this, probably it could be accessible.
Let's say
Um,
if I do something like this, what would be the case in this
in that
scenario?
case, 4 and then 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say if I have an array,
Okay.
what do you think would be the output of this? Or simply put, like, would I be getting any error for line number 2?
Yeah, just give me a minute. AR is an array, and I'm honestly haven't tried ever setting up the length of array properties. If we
Mm-hmm.
set it to 0, what does it mean? We are trying to delete it. It is doesn't make any sense of array of having length 0.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, uh, either line number 2 is a error, or means I'm just using my analogy.
Yeah, yeah,
So even if it is the error, then if it is not the error, in
yeah.
that
Mm-hmm.
case, if it is, means suppose that probably it's going to be error. Okay, if it is not the error, definitely a line number 3 is undefined.
Okay. Okay. Good. Let's say I have an object and I want to make a copy of this object. Uh, how can I make a copy?
Object.assign is a method
Mm-hmm.
where you can copy or clone it. So where you can pass it to a method and then you can clone up the existing object.
Yeah, yeah. It would make sense. Let's say if I have a flat structure, but let's say if I have some inner objects as well,
Uh-huh.
uh, would your approach be changing because of this scenario? Like you
Uh,
have an array, and inside of array you have nested objects.
uh-huh. You are talking about like how to copy like existing like nested objects, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So in that case, we have to might be write the custom parsers that we can drill down to the
Mm-hmm.
level that we want to copy. We might pass some JSON, or we just keep on iterating till the nested, and then we can do in that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. Mm, okay. Um, so Rahul, this is more like a object-oriented related thing. Like let's say when we use closure, like in what use cases we usually use closure, or what benefit does it give us? What do you think of
Uh,
basically in what basic scenarios we use it?
Okay, so closure is something like suppose that in a normal object-oriented programming, why we are going to use it? Because suppose that some static variables or some member variables, and then when you are going to use it, they persisted. Their related values are associated with us or with the object to make use of the current function. In the same way, if we want the value or utilize the outer context, whatever the context has been set in for the outer function, and we
Mm-hmm.
want all those environment always available for the inner function. Okay, in that way we are going to use the closure for it. Suppose that we have just to want to set a car and basic parameter of the car, and then we can inside that we can create a multiple car objects. So in that way we can use the closure. Closure is simple means using the outer function environment or whatever the context or whatever the values are there inside that as is, and whatever the customized thing we want, we can pass it as an as a parameter.
Mm-hmm. So basically, you're saying that it's used for data privatization, we can say, right?
Correct, exactly.
Yeah, that we have only one source of change. It cannot be changed from
Correct,
multiple places.
correct.
Okay. Um, okay. Okay. Rahul, any scenario you might have faced, maybe not recently because ES6 is widely used now, but in the past when ES6 has just launched, right? That time new versions used to have this ES6 features like map and filter or those things, but earlier browsers used to have problems with those array functions, right? So you might have done something, to overcome those browser compatibility.
In the CSS context, yes, I have did many, but not even I didn't remember. I knew the specifically in the few of the browsers, this particular even in the AJX call when I was using to UJX in the plain AJX call, there were I remember clearly there was a different code for I and different code for Chrome. Depending upon the Chrome and all those things. So those kind of scenarios I have faced in the past. But if I have to do it through the array itself, we have to generate some kind of HTML and then we are going to attach with the somewhere where we want at the end of that. There would be a lot of manipulation that a developer has to do it.
Okay. Okay. And what about how did you manage it for CSS? You were saying, right? You have did something for the CSS part earlier.
Um, Mostly I have searched through the Google more or less there is a two-way. In the case of the AJX, we can detect through which browser it is through the window Dawson property, and based on that we are taking appropriate action. That's
Okay.
in the CSS part. We have searched out to Google. This is the CSS that is going to be for both, and in the multiple ways that I have tried. But I know that we can detect the browser, and we want to perform action accordingly, and we can do it.
Got it. Okay. Or maybe you have some browsers which you are supporting some Firefox version, some Chrome version. And before using a CSS, you want to make sure that this CSS property, let's take an example of grid and flexbox. So flexbox is more widely used because of its compatibility compared to grid, right? So those things can be, understand beforehand that this particular property is used or can be used for all the supporting browsers. Do we have any reference document or any website that we can use, to make sure this CSS that we are using is compatible for all the supporting browsers?
Nowadays we are using mostly Bootstrap or Material UI. I believe that most of the tests already tested in the cross platform, and on the top of that, if we have to write it, we can do it. But most of the time, nowadays everybody I believe using the Bootstrap.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so in your application, you're using which version of React?
It's React 15, but I'm quite aware about React hooks that has been React dot fragment, use state, use memo, use effect for the demo purpose, and about the reconciler mechanism that have been improved, work stealing mechanism in React 16, the context API that has been introduced. So I'm pretty much aware about it.
So do you think any problem is there in this code? Let me zoom in a bit so that you can.
Okay. You are setting age at line number 3.
Yes.
Okay. And it would be, as per my understanding, it would be infinite. Because the moment you are doing the change, it will call again use effect because there is some change, and that is keep on calling, and it would be an infinite loop.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. You understood the scenario, like what
Yeah.
I'm doing here.
Ah,
Okay.
yeah. Hello.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So I was asking. Right now, if you see in my use effect, I'm setting age,
Okay.
and then after setting the age, I'm checking whether my age is greater than 18 or not. My initial value was 0. Okay.
Okay.
And then based on my current value of age, I want.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was asking about this line. So
Okay.
here, age change. I'm saying whenever my age is greater than 18,
Hmm.
I want my set can vote to be true. Right now, initially it would be false. Okay.
Correct. 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 Correct.
So, so right now, if you see
Uh,
another state, so do you?
Pushpin, I lost your 1 minute. Means I don't know whether it's a network connectivity issue or not. What I understood, you have written the expression number line number 5, where you have after the age 18, you are just converting it to the true
Yeah,
from false. After that,
yeah,
I need to understand what you asked.
yeah. So I was saying here I'm setting the age at line number 4. Okay, and then right next to it on the below line, I'm comparing whether my age is 18 or greater. In that case, I want to set can vote to be true. Otherwise, it should remain false. Okay. So, do you think it would be a right approach of
No,
doing such
no,
kind of logic?
no.
Okay.
Because all the set operation or this the set age or this
Mm-hmm.
even these are the async operations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is not the right way because it might not affect immediately. It might be
Mm-hmm.
run in the batches. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the reason why it's not a right way. We can,
Okay.
I
So.
believe it's not, I'm not aware about this set state, but in the this dot set state of the version of the class based, there is a
Mm-hmm.
additional parameter where we can pass these kind of functions where we want, once it is set, then only going to execute.
Something like this you are seeing,
Yes.
something like this, right?
Uh,
Maybe. Oh. Cool. Okay. Have you used, like you were talking about some performance optimization that was there for your application, right? Like how, like what all things did you notice or did you take into consideration while doing
uh,
the performance optimization?
Actually, I and our team, we have did in the both direction, in the backend side as well as the frontend side.
Mm-hmm.
For the backend, we have wrote an aspect layer and which calculates the time of the incoming request and outgoing request. We ran the application for some time and then we have figured it out. These are the set of queries which are taking too much time to respond. And when we have analyzed that, there we can see this is the bad written queries and unnecessary joins which are not required. We are populating the data which is not required. So first case we have optimized that. We have put the proper indexes that and few of the data we have cached at the backend. That's the one part. In the front end, when also one thing, when we are reloading the page, excuse me 1 minute. Okay. So in the front end, once we are reloading the application or landing at the first time, what we have observed for the even suppose that there are the component A, B, C, and D, all require the same data, but multiple queries are being fired for the same resource, which was not good. So for that reason, we have use the redux if the stale data which we don't want to get it from backend every time, it's available there, just get it from there and only issue a one single ajax call for the backend. Do not fire a multiple. And also we think of the lazy loading at the component level, whether it's means being means only when load the data when it's required. Not that time, but I came to know recently there is a concept of the web worker as well. So even I haven't implemented it, but I'm aware about. Suppose that you have opened a website and your user is for the time being is idle. he is not doing any activity, but you know that as per your application, the some data would be required at the down the line as he is progresses or he is going to click in that. So web worker what does behind the scene, it's just trying to get at all those data. Still your user is idle, doing nothing. So that's another concept of improving the performance that we can do. The tools that I have used, the React Profiler, uh, Lighthouse that I have used, means a Chrome developer tool also is a fantastic tool that's help us to analyze all those steps. So
Okay.
these are the tools that I have used.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Makes sense. Mm, okay. And Rahul, I believe you also have some background, the way you were talking about joints, and also, can I assume that you have some understanding of, the
Yeah,
backend
definitely
part?
some understanding about the backend as well.
Yeah. Okay. So, any design patterns that you are aware about, like, let's say some structure?
Hello, hello.
Yeah. Hello.
I lost you, Praveen. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah. You can hear me. Hello.
Yeah, now I can hear.
Okay. So I was talking about the design patterns that you might not have used it, but you might be aware about those.
Yes,
Uh,
I'm aware about the singleton factor design pattern, proxy design pattern, chain of
mhm,
responsibility design pattern. So these are the IOC inversion of control. These
mhm.
are the many design patterns that I'm aware about.
Okay. Okay. Mm, okay. Okay. I think now we can move on to one coding exercise. So would you mind sharing your screen and go to any editor? Let's do one activity.
Yeah, sure. So it would be in which language normally? Mac is what you want.
Uh, I would prefer it if we can create a one-page React application.
It's still loading. Yeah, now
Yeah.
it's loaded.
Perfect. Okay. So what we want to create now is one list that will be there on the page,
Uh,
and then there will be one text box. And
okay.
as soon as you start typing in the text box, you should only be getting the data which is matching with your.
Hello.
Yeah. Hello. You can hear me?
Yes, means I can hear you now. Can you please repeat?
Yeah. So basically, we will create a list. Okay.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And then initially we will be showing the entire list, but then there will be one text box. As soon as you start typing on the text box,
Got it. Okay.
it's for the such kind of logic that we
Yeah,
want
sure,
to
sure,
put.
sure, sure. Give me a minute. Let me think for a while and then I'll
Yeah,
start. Okay.
yeah.
Uh, as you can see, it's working. Hello, Pushpin?
Yeah.
It
Okay.
can be searched like if I explain you, I have initiated with the some default state, or you can say default value. If I do nothing, it will be printing all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I have created a filter as well, and whenever any change in the text box, okay, it's going to be set that to change the state of the filter,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why it's going to be re-render the things, and the filter at line number 16 that I have used is used to filter depending upon the current value of the filter that's been there.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So that's the way I have implemented.
So, Rahul, one query here. Let's say somebody's name is Amardeep. Okay.
I cannot hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So I was talking about one scenario where let's say person's name is Amardeep. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And then you search for Deep. So in that case,
In that case, it will not work because I have taken the starts with only.
yeah,
I have to search with like contains kind of.
yeah. I think
There
it's includes. Yeah, includes.
includes or something like that. Includes.
Yeah.
Yeah. In that way, it's going to be work. I'm not sure. Let's see.